Welcome back to the iHealth channel, iHealth Radio. With your host, Hurricane H. New day, terrific show, terrific topic, with a guest that's going to take us to a life of living vibrant, living, a life of vitality, something that we all need. Many of us sometimes we choose to sacrifice things, you know, in the defense of our dreams and aspirations. And I think our guest will she's an expert in this matter. I mean, she helps people get through this and get them through the process of doing it all without the sacrifice. So without any further ado, I have with me Donna Tashjian. Donna, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure is mine. Pleasure is mine. Well, so again, a lot of people on our newses may not know who Donna is and the work you do. So if you don't mind, just give us a little bit about your background, and then we'll hit it off, from there.
Sure. I am a life mastery coach and the founder and CEO of Vibrant Living International. I have been coaching, mentoring people for over 25 years. So lots of conversations with people and helping people to let go of one of the things is I'd like to stop is identity theft. Those things that, and I'm not talking about finances, those things that we believe about ourselves that we're not good enough. And then whatever the blank is that we want to put in there. And that stops us from actually living the life we would dream and living vibrantly. So that's some of the things I love.
Well, there's quite a bit. I mean, you got 25 years of doing this. And as you said, a lot of talk. Well, I love that life mastery. I mean, let's talk about that for a minute. I mean, do we know how to master our lives? That's a big question. How many of us do think that, we probably think we do. Do we? That's the question. In your experience, and expertise, how often that question, the answer was no, you don't. Or you think
if they're coming to talk to me, probably not. And I don't want to, I always recommend if you do begin to work with a coach and you partner with one, check and see if they have a coach. Because we all need that support to help us grow. And so not that any one of us has ever arrived. And so learning that it's a constant thing of growth. And when I talk about master life, I talk about spirit, soul, and body. And it affects our finances, it affects relationships, it affects all of those things to be able to feel like, I just want my clients to say, I love my life. And not have things that they want to complain about, that there are things that they just love their life.
I'm listening to you. I think everyone watching and listening right now would want to be that person that I love my life.
Right.
But again, I don't think we do love our life. We think we do. I think that there's a perception and there's a reality of things. Many of us may, and I can start with me, sometimes have doubts. We're not sure. We have all these questions, and everything around us sometimes drives us to have those feelings. And, in this shows, I'm like you, we're all about positivity, and we want to give people that vibrant, frequency and vibe. And you want to tell people that first it starts here. You got to love yourself, right? But to live and to be happy, to love your life, you have to love yourself. There's a lot of things, and I'm sure there's a whole process that you go through to determine. But the one thing that is very interesting, you just mentioned, I mean, there's a lot of things interesting you stated, but one thing funny, because I just heard this exactly in my last show, which is if you're a coach, if you're having a coach, ask them if they do have a coach, which, by the way, this is interesting. I've had hundreds of shows, many coaches, but only heard this in the last couple of times, as clear as it was, literally stated by the you guys as the guests. My last show, literally, we had the same thing, and the guest said that if you have a coach, ask them if they have a coach, because we all need it. And frankly, that is powerful. First of all, I think that's humbling, and and I appreciate you saying that, because for someone to be in that point where they know they have the expertise, but yet they still have someone to go back to, a resource for themselves, that shows you're a higher level of understanding the coaching business and the mentorship, world.
Yeah.
And that's and again, that's just from me to you. I really commend, and love to hear someone who has that level of understanding of where they are themselves. And by the way, I said the same thing to me, at the show, and I say it again: is we all need that. We all have mentors, people that actually guide us, coach us, and guide us in any way aspect. I mean, whether it's formal or informal, but we do have that. We're supposed to have that. And any level that you think you are, if you think you've achieved the highest level, well, there's always higher.
Yeah.
And there's always that kind of concept, like, I got this. No, nobody gets everything. You get enough, you have enough knowledge, but you can learn every day. I learn every moment, every day of my life. There's not a day that goes by that I don't learn something new. And so
Mhm.
I really enjoyed that piece of it, because for people out there, people are always looking for coaches, and ultimately you are. I mean, we are a resource and information channel. You
Mhm.
are a resource on your own, and so ultimately, what we want from this show is not only to give nuggets and good vibes and good advice, but also we're going to give access to you. If someone is really looking for someone to assist them, help them live that vibrant life, well, we have you as a resource now. And
Yeah.
and you know what? There's plenty, by the way, of resources, and each resource comes with their own flavor, their own approach, their own
Yes.
methodology, their own tricks. Like, I love what you said: soul, spirit, and the body.
Yeah.
That combination is a key, because that's the other thing. We can coach one part of our lives, but maybe miss something different. You got to be somewhat balanced between all these things, and those three things always remain. I mean, again, for us, it's the same thing: mind, body, soul, your beauty,
Mhm.
your spirit, everything has to apply. And trust me, I mean, we do a lot of shows that are in all that spectrum, because we go from one spectrum to the other, because we do need to have a little bit of that variety of things to get in. I mean, and we need that as humans. So, Donna,
Mhm.
now let's talk about, what are some of the key, elements that people watching and listening right now should be aware of in their lives to determine whether they're really living their life or not. And by the way, it sounds like a little sketchy as a question, but really, like, how many of us really understand all that?
It is a really great exercise to separate your life into four quadrants, and is would be your relationships and your vocation or your job or business, and time and money, and then how your health is. And look and see in those four areas what needs improvement. Now, when I say I love my life, it doesn't mean all four areas are perfect. So there are things that well, if you're a dreamer, there's always something that you're thinking of bigger and better and expansive, I guess is a really great word. I love that word instead of just bigger, expansive. And so when you think about your life, what would you love? Not what you don't want, but what do you want? Because when you think about what you want, you begin to think bigger. Your perspective changes. If I think about what I don't want, it's contractive. It's restrictive. And so look at your areas of what areas need improvement. And then a really great question is, what do I need? What capability, what resource or community do I need to get to that place? We often try to figure it out on our own, but you cannot get to that new level that you're looking for at the same level of thinking you currently are.
It's
And
deep.
so, what that's a pause and think about that one for a minute.
I know. Yeah. I mean, it's like, ooh, it sinks. It goes deep there. It hits something.
Because you can think about, I want to be healthier. Let's use something that's pretty simple. Most of us want to improve our health. Most of us think we should move more.
Ooh.
All of those things, but if I don't change the way I'm thinking about movement or my food or whatever it is, then just getting a physical trainer will only last for so long. And so, what capability, I'll say that again, what capability, new way of thinking, resource, or community do I need to get to the level, the next place that I want to grow to? And begin to think that way. And then you create a life, as I call it, by design instead of by default. We get so blasted busy that life just happens to us. Once a year, usually around the first of the year, a new year, we start thinking about what we want. And then after that, it just kind of all goes to pot. And we just let whatever happens, happens.
Resolutions.
Oh, so we make all kinds of plans, but we really know we're probably not going to follow through. We really know that they're probably not going to happen. We just kind of wish and hope and maybe, but we really don't believe that it will happen. And so learning to build a life on purpose by design is a new way of thinking. I often say the world is generally negative. It doesn't take much to find something that's a pessimistic thought. And so if I am planting a garden, let's say a vegetable or a flower garden, and I've nurtured those plants and I'm giving them the right fertilizer and the sun and the water and all the things, but weeds show up anyway, and I didn't plant weeds. And so your life is like that. You have to be intentional to pull the weeds, because weeds will come irregardless. And so learning to live life on purpose, learning to how the tools to build so that you can create the life you dream.
I take a moment to breathe in. There's a lot to absorb there. I mean, I really, because you're really are in my world right now. I love this. This is, by the way, I would never stop saying this in my shows, which is I'm your first client, as my guest, because you know what? It's amazing because this stuff resonates well. And it just listening to you, gives me a little, booster, right? Like, yeah, finally, like you get that little energy reminder kind of concept, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I love what you said, living with purpose, by design, and not by default. And fortunately, we kind of take it one day at a time. And most of us are just like in hustle and bustle and making things happen. And we're like really stressed out and depressed and going crazy, going 200 miles an hour. And where do we want to be? We have an idea. I mean, everybody's got an idea. Like, I want money. I mean, I think that's usually what the biggest thing. Everybody wants the money. But how do you go about it? Is money the success? Is money everything? Technically not. I mean, money is great to have, but it's not, everything. You talked about health. We all want the health, but we all go about it the wrong way. And you can, I mean, seriously, we can debate with people and this is, if this was an easy one, everybody will be like super healthy shape. We need a healthcare system. We will be like, by default design healthy, right? It's not like that, because again, choices we make, and sacrifices we make. I love what you said about you got a dream, and you got to live that dream and be able to design, the outcomes of that dream. Otherwise, we'd be wishing and you're right. We're around the corner from that annual resolution, the New Year resolution. I want to get healthier. I want to be this. I want to do this stuff. I want to start a lot of things. And typically, by the way, this is proven true, that a couple of weeks later, that number decreases tremendously, and then it continues. And by month 2, it's over. Although this next year, by the way, month 2 is going to be extended. So maybe we'll have a shot. It will be a February 29. I think it's a leap year. We have one more day that February. So, but really, folks, I mean, it's impossible, to not to think about these things. And we got to pause. And Donna, thank you for really at least framing that, the quadrants and how we need to think about all these things, because we're not perfect. And perfection, I don't think perfection exists, at least in the human, kind. I don't know if it's in nature probably, but not in us, right? We're flawed by design. Apparently we are perfect in a way, but we're not that perfect. And that means we can always refine. Your analogy about the garden is awesome, because in truth, we could literally take a garden, fresh land, fresh soil, everything, do all the necessary steps, and you're still gonna get something. I mean, it never fails. I mean, I grow mint. I love mint, and
Yep.
it's as simple as that. And there's plenty of it, and then in the middle of it, there's a couple of weeds that come up. Where
Hmm.
they come from, I have no idea. It's not I planted seeds for them, but they're always there. You're right. And if you have grass, and if you don't treat it, you're gonna have weeds. So life is gonna throw weeds at us at all times. So actually, I've never heard that analogy for life. This is the first time. So thank you for bringing that one. I'm gonna have to use that line sometimes. But really, think about it, folks. If you're watching or listening to this particular show, just reflect on what we've said so far. This is everybody's reality. I think every one of us is spinning that wheel, and we are stuck in that point. Like, I want everything to be perfect, yet I can't attain perfection. I want, to be, to live the life and get, my life, in order, but I am unable to do it. And there is reasons we do it, because we are all over it. We are not, as you said, taking each component and working it separately and working on each one. Some of those quadrants, as you said, some could be better than others. So we want to work on the ones that are probably the worst, and work. Again, I don't know. I'm not a coach. I can't give people guidance on how to approach this, and I'm going to ask that question to you. But really, the concept is that we are trying. And by the way, I think everyone watching or listening is trying to have a better life, to
I
have
agree.
a decent life. To Doesn't matter what their backgrounds are, the backgrounds of people that are watching or listening right now, because we are worldwide. So you could be anywhere in the world, and your circumstances may be different from somebody else, from a country to another, from a city to another, from a culture to another. However, everybody's aspiring to the same. We all want prosperity. We want health. We want to live some sort of a lavish life to a degree. At least with the marketing that's around us right now, everybody wants everybody's stuff, because it's being pushed, every day, right? I mean, we see things and we crave things, whether it's food or luxuries. It's just part of it. I mean, and to do this, we start dreaming big. And by the way, I am a big, 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 champion of one thing: dream big, dream scare yourself. That's okay. But the question is, as you said, the dreams are only dreams unless you take action towards them. Now,
Yes.
so now that I kind of framed a little bit, just because that was awesome stuff that you gave me, I had to kind of refresh it to my frame here, my brain. But now, what do we do? How do we break this down to people, like in terms of step by step? How do you go about it, with folks?
Well, one of the things I want to comment on, a couple of things you said, and you talked about perfection. So tell me, right now, in where I live in Michigan, the leaves are off the trees. And so it's easy to see all the branches that are there. But if we had created the trees, would they be would they have limbs that are so crooked, and some of them are bent and some of them are, or would everything be uniform and perfectly angled and all of the things? Like, if you were to create a tree, but trees are magnificent and they're really imperfect if you think about it. And so we really are perfectly perfect. We're only imperfect when I try to be you and you try to be me. Then we become an imitation. Do you want to be an echo, or do you want to be a voice?
Another deep one. Oh, we going deep, man. We gotta drown here.
And so thinking about that, perfection is that illusion that it's something different than I am. And that doesn't mean that I don't grow and still, but a little flower is still pretty. A little tree, a sapling is still amazing. And we grow and change, but it doesn't mean I got more perfect. To pause and think about that one.
Oh yeah. Well, it's true, because again, I mean, I love the analogies that you throw in. So the picture, as you said, I mean, I'm in Jersey, same thing. Trees
Yes.
are leafless right now. There's no leaves. It's pretty much just trunks and branches. But you're right. A tree is gorgeous. It's beautiful as it is, and it's amazing that we don't sometimes think that for ourselves. We are in a way, design who we are. There's only one you, Donna. There's only one me.
Absolutely.
There's only one of each one of you guys watching and listening right now, whatever you are. There is no, even your clone, even your twin will not be you. They will be separate. They'll be
Correct.
different. There's something
Absolutely.
about them, whether it's the DNA, their fingerprints, their eye, lids, whatever
Mhm.
it is. Everything is different about all of us, and you have your own signature and your own flavor. And I love
Yeah.
what you said. It's only when we want to be the others, and unfortunately, the society that we live in today is almost wanting everybody to look like everybody else, or to feel like everybody else, or live everybody
Mhm.
else's life, not yours. And
Yeah.
that sometimes, if that was the design, I think we would have all been at the same rate. Everybody would be born rich with every single, beautiful, whatever that beauty that you actually imagine will be that. But that's not true. We don't have that. And the beauty in this world is that we're different. We have different signatures, different flavors, and it makes a difference in how you are. And you have to know that you are that unique flower in that big, whatever yard.
Mhm.
You
Right.
are it. You're in the garden by yourself as a separate entity.
Right.
I think if we start believing that, life will be a lot simpler for us. We will actually appreciate things better.
Yeah.
So that was my little reflection on, on that
Good.
that right there.
You talked about what do we do? And
Mm.
one of the things that hinder us from loving our life is well, before I answer that, let me ask a question. Can I be content and still dream big for something to grow and be bigger and expansive? Can I still be content today and do that?
The answer is yes for me.
The answer is yes.
Yep.
But most of us don't live like that. We say things like I'll be happy when, and so that constant state of unrest, or if we said dis-ease, that is going on causes us to be the hamsters on the wheel that keep running to try to find that place where we're going to be happy. We're going to be loved. That belonging is a big driving force. And that's a lot of the reasons why the advertising industry works, is because if I buy the same phone as you, I'll belong. If I buy the same car, if I buy the same house or something, I will somehow find belonging. Doesn't work, by the way, but that's what they try to sell us. And so learning to find and be present and find the joy in the moment while I still want to grow and expand, make more money, have more impact in the world, so that I can find the joy in the moment. But most of us, at least I used to be, let's see if it relates to you. I used to do this. I would be with my kids thinking about work, or be at work feeling guilty that I should be with my kids.
Guilty as charged.
And so there's this constant unrest and unhappiness. Now, I said dis-ease. I think this is a cause of a lot of illness, because I can't constantly be feeling guilty and overstressed without those chemicals causing problems and havoc in my body. And so when we can learn to find the place of stillness. So I'll tell a story. A few years back, I was challenged. I'm a Christian, so it was something I felt like God gave me, was a scripture, be still and know that I'm God. And I'm thinking, how can I be still? Do you not see my to-do list? I'm going to sit and do nothing? What are you talking about? And I was flipping out. And first of all, didn't know how to be still, because I was always in motion. Even when I'm watching TV, I'd be ironing or folding clothes or doing something. It's not just relaxing and enjoying the movie, if you will. So I'm like, all right, I'll begin to learn how to implement stillness. And I am a chart girl, a tracker, a planner. So I tracked it for the whole year, that I did stillness, some form of it, every day. sitting and being quiet, journaling, reflecting, thinking, creating white space is one of my favorite words to say. And so that year, my income doubled. It made no sense because I worked less hours, but I was more productive and more goodness happened. And so learning to be able to find that way, and I work with people individually and in groups to help them learn how to find that happiness so that they can love their life while it is growing, while it is adjusting to everything, so that maybe someday we can say, I love everything in my life. But to truly love your life comes from the inside out, not from the outside in. You're shaking your head, yes.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you're right. I mean, here's the thing. I said it. You got to start from within, right? You got to love this, and then everything else will come along. Because here's the thing: if you don't love yourself, you're not going to take care of yourself. And taking care of yourself is priority, is vital to everything else and everybody around you. Because again, it's like we always give that expression or the analogy of the plane. When you have to put your mask first before you can help others.
Right.
Well, if this is wrong, you can't help anyone. You're not going to be good. I love what you said about. And by the way, I agree with you because I've been there. And there was a point in my life where like work, 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 and eventually I learned that that's not always the right way. And I've adapted family into work and work into family and became a little bit more adjustable. And even that was not the best thing because you're right. Like we are. I think this is the issue. We are in a society that is has been designed, at least in the last few decades, to be like workforce related 100%. You're like basically designed, you're basically going to school, get a degree so you can start working and you already have your job before you even get your college degree and your apprenticeship and everything. And then you're pretty much prepared to actually get into that clock in, clock out concept and you're doing stuff with a small carrot, it's the paycheck, whatever it is, and maybe a promotion that's coming up, in a couple of years and so on and so forth. So we've been designed that way. And so all you do is work on that. Many people sacrifice life, sacrifice health, sacrifice family. It's a big deal today's generation. A lot of people don't even want to have relationships and get married and have kids early because the career comes first, and that's another, concept. Is that life? Now, here's the thing, someone can say, well, I love that life. It's cool. I don't want, that's okay. But here's the thing, you don't know yet. Wait until years go by. See, that's the thing. Like I personally have aged over, a few decades. I have realized a lot of things that I've done, I would have done them wrong. I don't regret them, but would I have a different approach to them, knowing what I know today? Sure. I mean, it's like someone comes from the future to here. They know what to do. they're gonna be better than all of us because they know exactly what not to do. See, that's the problem. We don't know everything that we're not supposed to do. We do things sometimes trial by error, all these things, and we apply them. But only in time we learn. Now, had we had a coach, someone to help us guide, these things, it will be different. But even this coaching, concept is very recent. I mean,
Yes,
20 plus years, 30 plus years ago, you didn't hear. I mean, coaching sounded like,
no.
like I'm going to a therapist. Not good. I got this. I have, so it was like that concept, like I can do this on my own. Now it's becoming more
Yes,
relevant mainstream and it's acceptable and people spend the money for it. They don't care. They need another perspective. They need another guidance. They need another flow. Maybe my way is not is not working. It's not that my way or the highway. There is another way. There's multiple ways. As a matter of fact, there's infinite ways, and you need to adapt to different things. But the goal is the same. We want to get to that inner perfection and understand that we can have a life that's vibrant and enjoy life. That's the other thing. How many of us are enjoying life? Donna, I know you see a lot of people when they come to you, they are probably stressed. And by the way, that's another thing. I mean, I have a recurring show about, mental health and stuff. And stress is the biggest one, anxiety, depression. And these are all coming from the lifestyles we have. We are right now living, but not living. I refer to a lot of us as zombies because we're really zombies. We're just like in a zone. We don't appreciate, we don't enjoy life. And there is more to life than just work and making money. And I love what you said, that when you posed and got things together, you were able to perform more and live better and happier. And isn't that what we want? People, if you're watching and listening, isn't that what you want? Is to have more of whatever you want, but live a happier life, easier life. Now, I want to go back to one thing, Donna,
Mm-hmm.
is when you asked me the question, and I guess you asked all of us, but I'll answer, but am I content while wanting more? Content
Mm-hmm.
here, I mean, for me personally, here's how I see it. I'm content with what I have today, and I'm enjoying what I have at the time because that's all I have. But that doesn't mean I don't have aspirations, I don't have dreams, and I will work towards my dreams. But if they don't happen, I am okay now with what I have, and I will make do. Like I sometimes I make a joke about this. You could put me in a desert, I'll still be happy. I'll figure out a way. You put me in the middle of a mountain, I'll probably survive somehow and make it happen. Again, it's you make the happiness, you make it work regardless. Now, ultimately, I'm not saying put me with no water or nothing. I mean, you know what I mean. The point is that it's where you are, who you are with. Is you can be with a small group of people and you'll be happy. You mentioned that earlier. Who's your community? What is that system? Right. That's actually really where we are sometimes not understanding. We think sometimes we want things, and I love what you said about the market industry and advertising. They get it right. They know how to work our
Mm-hmm.
minds to get the stuff, because I want to belong. I don't have the latest iPhone, I'm not cool. I
Right.
don't have the latest dress code or like this fashionable thing, I'm not cool. And by the way, again, I always stress this: I'm not against having positions, have more than one you want, but don't make those
Yeah,
your goal. If they
absolutely.
happen that you can afford them and get them, do it. But don't sacrifice your life just to
Mm-hmm.
get it. I tell you one thing, this is true fact, and I think Donna, you will agree to this. No matter what you're gonna get, how expensive it can be, once you have it, it loses value for you. This works for me. I've experienced it over time. Like you dream of something, you want it, you achieve it, you have it. Now what? You use it for a couple of days, a couple of times, and it becomes routine to you. It becomes nothing to you, and the value goes from here to here. Now, for someone else, that's, oh my God, you have this. Whether it's a house, it's a bigger house.
Mm-hmm.
You always look for a bigger house. A car, you want the more expensive car. When you get that more expensive car, you'd be like, this is it. I mean, really, it's a fact. At least for me, it has been true. I have experienced it, and sometimes you realize, like, so what was it? Nothing. Spend more money, you get more debt, whatever it is, but you're stuck with these things. But you find yourself into it. Now, if you don't have any of that and you're content 100%, doesn't matter. If it comes, it comes. If it's not, it's okay. You'll live one way or the other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you purchase something because it brings you joy, not because you feel pressure from something else to have it, then to me, the gratitude is sustained. Um, so, I have, well, I guess it's been 2 years now, but I finally got a new car that I had been um, I was driving around well, right before COVID, I knew I needed to get a new car. The shocks part was rusted through. I live in Michigan. There's a lot of salt. I know you have it there too. So, and so when it began, so when COVID happened, I didn't have to buy one right away because we weren't going anywhere. So it just sat in my garage. So finally, my husband and I took for a drive in this car. And I was in the passenger seat, which I normally wasn't. And it was squeak in the back from the shocks not working properly. But I, was taking care of it the best I could, but there's nothing I could do about rust. So we it had been raining and we hit a big puddle. And my feet lifted on the passenger side from the rainwater. There was no floor, just carpet.
Oh boy.
And so I'm like, I've got to get a car. So I began, what do I want? What do I want? And so I would be driving this car that's squeaking down the road, imagining that I'm driving in my new car with the radio, because I couldn't play the radio because I couldn't hear it over the noise. And so hear it. And so I got my new car and 2 years ago now. And so, but every day I walk out in the garage and go, oh, it just makes me smile because it's something I wanted. It wasn't, the most expensive car. It was what I wanted. And I worked for it and I have it. And so to me, those kind of things, the gratitude continues when I want it. I've worked for it. It isn't because I think, Joe down the road has one, I need to get one too. It's because it makes me happy. And so that is, to me, that is different than trying to keep up with the Joneses, as we used to say, trying to match somebody else. Then it's empty. It's not fulfilling. But when it's something that brings us joy, then we can continue to stay in gratitude. And gratitude is another big magnetic force to bring joy into your life. Finding things always to be thankful for. A hot cup of tea for me, or the little things. It doesn't have to be humongous things. The soft bed at night. There's nothing better than your own bed. All those little things that we can find. And the more that you find to be thankful for, the more that you love your life. And so deciphering all of that. But when I get stressed, I'm thinking and comparing myself to somebody else or where I think I should be, instead of just enjoying where I am today on my journey. It is a journey. Enjoy the trip. Don't get rushed through it trying to figure out where are you going to rush to. It's like, and learn to be able to find gratitude and joy in my grandchild's smile and, in the little surprises of the way they see the world and all of the little things in life. The way that good lasagna tastes or whatever. It's just finding those things that you love and begin to design it. One of the keys to moving and creating the life you want, I call, and I've coined the phrase, spiritual intelligence. Most of us have heard of emotional intelligence and physical intelligence, but I haven't really heard very many people, because I think I coined it. Maybe it'll become popular, but increasing
copyrighted.
spiritual intelligence. And because everything is created first with a thought before it becomes a thing. Everything is created from the unseen first before it becomes into our world. And when we can begin to realize that, then we're more conscious about what we are creating. And in those moments of stillness really help with that.
Well, Donna, I'm listening to you, and you've touched on so many other areas of real power foundations, right? I mean, gratitude, being grateful for things, value, because when you bought that car, you bought it and you loved it and you wanted it and you appreciate it. Because here's the thing, you looked at the old car versus this car, right? See, sometimes that's the thing. We always look at the bigger and we don't look at the less or the least. Sometimes, I use this personally. Like, I don't always look at, if there are, again, we have the reference of the 1%ers or the 5%ers and all this stuff, right? But that means there's a lot of 90% plus behind in that, right? So if you look at that, right, that balance, right, the ones that have and the ones that have less, the more you think about the ones that have less, and by the way, there's always someone that has more and there's always potentially someone that has less. And so maybe someone says, well, there's nobody that has less than me. Well, you don't know that. There's the fact is we don't know that. We always think we have more than someone and less than other. But here's the thing. When you have, you're content, with what you have gratitude for what you have, whether it's the little things and value is the biggest thing. I mean, I've been in sales in the healthcare insurance space. And I can tell you one of the things that we always tend to look when you're selling a product or service is what's in it. What's the value for that particular client or customer? If there's no value to them, they're not buying anything from you. Mm-hmm. You see, so value is everything. It could be nothing. It could be a coin that maybe my grandparent, left it for me. That coin to me it's a penny, but it's a special penny, because it had a value to me that no one else will actually get because it has a special, that my first, my great grandfather's first penny, because that was his pay salary, whatever. I'm just giving an example. Mm-hmm. But imagine that's the least value of, we get pennies on the floor. Nobody picks them up these days, right? But imagine what that means to someone, and that's the thing. Sometimes someone loses something. They say, I don't want anything. I don't want the money. I just want one thing because that had the value. It was given to me by this particular person. It's what it is for you that makes that difference. And that's being grateful for what you have and being thankful for what you have and also being content with what you have. And it's not, to your point, keeping up with the Joneses. They have the bigger house. I need to, they had a couple of movies about keeping up with Joneses out there to show how eventually in one of them, the neighbor killed himself because he couldn't keep up, right? So that, I mean, it's a movie, it's drama, but the fact is, it happens. People get really drowning into debt and stuff because they want to look a certain look and feel.
Yeah.
Listen, I can say I've been there. I've done that. I made that mistake personally, where you had to do certain things because I refused to continue with it because I was in a company, literally true, where people evaluated, what kind of watch you wore, what kind of shoes you bought,
Right.
what kind of suit you wore. I'm like, I don't need to, if you want to spend a couple of $1,000s on a suit, go for it, baby. I can spend it on a cruise ship.
Right.
I mean, everybody's got a different thing. Like everybody has their own angle, so I'm not putting it so I could look good. I could look good with literally $100 suit and someone could laugh at me right now. I was like, listen, it's, you can laugh all you want. I mean, you know, you we started with, there was something that you said earlier about like, doing things with performance based, right? You
Yeah.
were able to perform better. A lot of progressive companies, you know, are looking at that. It's all about working, with performance, not how much time you put in. It's really the quality that you give in and the performance you give. The Googles and all the Silicon Valleys, that's what they're doing. They don't even give you like unlimited PTOs. You hear that's like, really? I can just work anytime I want. Yeah, but you have parameters, you have targets and stuff. In life is the same thing, but you have to perform for you. Like
Right.
we'll do everything for others, for businesses, for stuff. But what? This is your first business. This is you Inc. I mean, at least it's not. I mean, it's not true. We're the first, entity that you have to take care of, and then this has, a little bit of an extension, which is family, and then so on and so forth. Then you can give. By the way, if you have everything here, you can give everybody else. If you don't have anything here, you can't give anyone. You can't give something that you don't have. And so, but if you're grateful, you can't. And let's say you get a position of leadership. If you can help others, if you appreciate what you have, you're going to be doing more for other people, and therefore they're going to be more uh, performing better, right? So there's a lot of these things. It applies to business, applies to everything. So Donna, your program, someone joins. How
Mhm.
does that whole cycle look like? What should people expect, and how long is the program?
Well, it depends on which program is the best fit for the individual. I have several different programs, so each one has a different price point as well as time element. So the first step, as far as working with me, I'll describe a few of them, but the first step is let's just talk. Just have a conversation and see what is going on with you and what would be the best fit. And if I'm not the resource, we're going to find it because I want to help you be the best you. So that would be the first step. But some of my programs I will mention. One of my programs that was one of my first that I created and fashioned specifically, it's called Turn Your Baggage into Luggage so you can have the life you dreamed. You cannot be a life coach without having some baggage somewhere. And so I created this program. I am very big on helping people, and I don't teach coping mechanisms. I will not teach you to cope with your problems or your trauma or your pain points or any of it. I want to help you heal and move on. So it is not an issue anymore. So that is one of my programs. That's a 6-month program. And through that, people will be able to learn the skills and the techniques, the resources, the mindsets, all of those things to be able to turn their baggage into luggage. So that's number one. I have another program called Life by Design, Not by Default, which we have alluded to today. That particular program is a year-long program, and we dive deep into the laws in spiritual intelligence and 6 superpower gifts that we possess that most people are not aware and how they work so that you can become proficient in how to utilize the things that are in place. I use the example of gravity. It's a law, but if you weren't aware it was a law and you walked off the roof and broke your leg, you could be mad at yourself, why did this happen? You could be mad at God. You could be mad at a lot of things. You could be blaming, you could be upset. but you didn't know about the law. And these other laws are the same way. When we don't know how they're operating, we make life harder than it has to be. So this is life by design, is anyone who wants to design their own life, who wants more. And it can be feeling like you become Teflon and the negative just slips right off. Doesn't even affect you anymore. It is phenomenal to watch people go through this and learn the skills and how to walk it out so that they can create the life that they want. And that first program is my apprentice program. And after they finish that, if they want to go further, I have a program called the Architect, the Life by Design Architect. So we're actually really building. We have learned the skills and now we learn how to build. So I work with people on that as well. I have a program called Choose Joy, how to overcome anxiety and depression and those kind of things. So it just depends where people find themselves in their life. All of that, everything I do has a spiritual component to help, because that's our core, and helping people to grow and recognize how that works and to be their best self. So that's some of the way it works.
Well, thank you. And by the way, I appreciate you breaking out the programs. They sound intense and they do require a commitment, folks. This is not something that you're just going to come in, show up and leave. You have to commit a certain portion of time. And by the way, it's the best investment you do for yourself. So if you're going to improve,
it improves it lasts a lifetime.
Listen, you talked about the garden. It takes a minute. Yep. It takes time to build a nice garden and get the right outcome of it, right? Same concept here. You want to get this, but you talked about something. Couple of things. One, you mentioned the copyrighted word of yours. Spiritual, intelligence. And I tend to agree with you. And regardless of the beliefs, the spirituality is similar across all beliefs, right? And if you have that, you are working at a different, literally plane. It's different from when you're not there. Understanding this world and understanding the spiritual realms and things like that does give you peace of mind, gives you a whole different serenity and things like that you typically cannot when you're caught up in outside of the realm of spirituality. So that's a key. I love what you said about mindset. That's a word we hear all the time. You mentioned negativity and the negative stuff when we talked about the weeds earlier, and there's a lot of negativity. It's very easy to get drawn towards negativity. There's so much of it, it's not even funny. As a matter of fact, you can tune up any TV, any channel, anything, you're going to find quite a negativity out there, but you're going to have less of the positivity unless you look for it. I mean, these podcasts, these shows, there's plenty of them, that reinforce positivity, but you got to be able to look for them and know where they exist, or find the resources such as yourself where you can actually get that help. It's available, folks. It's out there. And it takes a little bit of assistance to actually tweak from looking at the wrong picture to the better picture. And all of us can make that mistake because, it's a lot easier sometimes to just dwell on the bad and be like, my life sucks. I don't know. It's everybody's fault. I'm sure you hear that, right, Donna? People blame the world for everything, right? And sometimes we don't look here. We look at everything else because it's easier to point the finger out as opposed to back here. Understanding those things can make a difference. Speaking of which, now, what is your? I'm just curious. Your experience with people blaming the world, is that a reality of the majorities, at least the ones that you've encountered?
It is a reality for some people. It isn't generally the reality of someone who actually seeks out a life coach. They, at least not overall. That's not their overall mindset. I have a really unique way of describing a mindset. And I call it, where are you on your map? And every one of us have a map that we've created for our life. And it is all the events that's happened to us up until this point. But more importantly, it's what we made those events mean. So some people I've heard lose a job. I lost a job. I was not on the positive spectrum. And and feeling really bad about ourselves. And then I've heard other people lose a job and go, wow, great, there's something better for me. I did not have that reaction that happened to me. But both bad things can, the same thing can happen and people can react differently, is my point. And so it isn't what happens, it's what we make that mean, what we believe that means about us mostly. And so that creates our map. And we have a map going somewhere, but we may not end up liking the destination if we're thinking how we're thinking. You get my picture. So learning to be able to, how do we create a map that actually goes to the destination that I want to go to? And so how do we do that? That is mindsets. That is the way you think. And the other little tidbit I'll drop here in the middle of all of this is a lot of times we act as if our emotions are truth. That person doesn't like me, something's wrong with me, or something, something about how I feel, it must be true. When that's not actually what it means. You want me to tell you? Let me tell you the secret. What emotions actually are is a reflection of what you believe about you and the world.
Hold on. Let's sing that in, folks. Please repeat that, Donna, just one more time for our audiences.
What emotions are is a reflection of what you believe about you and the world.
We have a problem. Houston, we have a problem because we all have beliefs and judgments on everything else around the world and ourselves, right? So I think that's a big point, that needs to get adjusted here. So I thank you for throwing that in because really, I think for anybody watching and listening right now, just take a moment and absorb that. I mean, we doubled it up just for that curiosity of yours, and so you can listen to it. It does take a minute to sink in, to really like, wow, this is all happening here. I got all. It's again perception, right? We see the world of how we want it to. Like sometimes we really can, and that's talking about like the mindset and how you see the map, how you start, positive, versus negative. We can turn, like you said, that's an excellent example you gave. I lost a job. So for someone that could be the end of the world, it was almost like, thank God I wasn't happy there. I didn't like these people and I can do better. It's the same exact scenario. One is looking at it like it's a relief. The other one is like disaster, the end of the line. I'm going to jump on the roof. But it's the same exact. So this is exactly what we're talking about, that emotion. It's how you see the world. There is a positive in every single situation in life. Take it. Actually, that's my belief. That's how I operate. And again, you don't have to take it, literally, but I actually apply this in every single thing in my life. Nothing that's happening to you, it's happening for a reason. And whether it's a choice we made, whether it's by destiny, in a way that's coming to you, if you believe in destiny, whatever the belief that you have, but it happens. You can't do anything about it. I mean, could you have avoided? Maybe, but the road led to it today, and there's nothing you can do. You can't go back and trace back and remove it. Remember, we don't go back in time. There's no time travel right now. Yeah, at least not retroactively, But the fact is, we are who we are. And that's the thing. Like, I've read this, and it keeps coming up in my mind, is that you think about the past, you have depression. You think about the future, you have anxiety. You don't know. I love what you said. You got to put a map together of where you want to be, the destination, and the steps you're going to get there. And by the way, that's what we do in business. You put a vision, a mission, you put it a plan, you have a whole strategy, and then you have the tactics to get there, and you get the tools and the people to get you there. Well, it's the same thing. Like I said, the best project is you. I mean, there's no one more important than you. I mean, because again, without you being correct, nobody else is going to benefit. Your family is not going to benefit. We get people with divorce. We got people with having, problems at work. We have people having problems with the kids. And again, we blame everything else. It's all the others. What about you? What's your role in that problem? Do we ask that question? And I think that goes back to that emotional piece. I have to say, you've thrown in some new things that, are very, we know the concepts, but the way you phrase them and you paraphrase them in a way, it's changed a little dynamic. At least it makes it a little clearer for a lot of us. So mindset, positivity, destination. Now, the commitment of individuals. What would you
Mhm.
tell people? Because I think I always go back to that idea that if people don't want to change, no one can change them.
Right. That's true. So
So,
what's your question?
so how? What would you tell people? About that piece of it. I mean, they have to be aware to make that leap. Of and decision to make a move in their life, whether it's seek your help or seek any help. But
Mhm.
what would be the trigger if someone that you want to give them, hey, listen, if you have this, it's time for you to do that. In terms of your next step, what would that be?
Commitment uh is part of anything that you accomplish. So yes, if you were to accomplish anything, it requires some form of commitment. And when you financially invest in yourself, I've had people who take it seriously and people who didn't. And so both of those things can happen. But if you want more, if you want to know how to do it easier, then it's worth having a conversation with me. That's what I would say is like, if you want more, if you want to learn how to let go of all the stuff that you think might be holding you back, and you want to learn how to do it the easy way, because it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to take forever either. That's another thing we get taught. It's going to be so hard. Or how long is this going to take? Are we there yet?
Oh, that's right. I love that. Well, it's true though. You're right.
Uh, yes. So all of that. So if there's someone listening or watching that wants more, they want to learn how to do things the easy way, they want to learn the secrets that there are available, then I would be happy to talk with them and share that. There is a bunch of resources that are free on my website as well. And having a call with me is free as well. And I guarantee you, you will be different at the end of it.
And the website is.
The letter I, vibrantliving.com.
I love it. Okay, so it will be in the link in the description of the show. So please do link up with Donna. And again, the title itself says it all. Live in vibrant. I mean, who doesn't want to be like live in the vibe? And I mean, we refer to vibes but vibrant. I mean, vitality. It's like I love that whole the I don't know if it's an atom, something is there floating behind like a flower. I'm trying to figure out, but the logo, I guess, right?
Yes, it's my logo.
All right. Well, live in vibrant is everybody's dream, I think. I mean, we should all kind of want to have that. And I doubt that someone doesn't want to have that level of living. I know, folks. Yes, it's easier said than done, but again, it doesn't have to be hard. Working smart sometimes is better than working hard, right? Does take some hard work to start, but then eventually you get smarter over time, and then things will be easy. Whether at work, a person, a relationship, you name it, it's the same. Same thing here. I mean, you're right. I mean, investing is usually the difficult part for people. Like, oh, it's a commitment. Yeah, you talked about the resolution, the gym. People like, oh, I'm going to put the money, but then I don't have the time. No excuses, right? There's that thing. I mean, it's how bad do you want it, really?
Yeah.
It's every. I mean, I know that if you're watching or listening right now, we're not saying something that you haven't reflected on, probably, or you haven't heard of. It's a matter of just like it's a reminder. We're just giving you a little bit like, hey, it's that time to reset. And by the way, sometimes we all need to hear this over and over and over because we do tend to get, distracted. We do tend to get busy and life comes on the way. And then we forgot about ourselves. And then like 2 years went by like, ooh, what happened? I mean, literally, that time flies. I mean, when you're having fun, as they say. Well, sometimes we're not really having fun. We're just busy and not enjoying. And before you know it, it's like it's over. Uh, Life is too short, folks. I mean, let's enjoy the most of it. Let's make the most of it. Let's make the best of it, and really plan right so you can enjoy. Listen, whether you're brand new in this world, you're still young and you have a lot of time ahead of you, or it doesn't matter what time of life that you have. You just need to enjoy. Donna, I mean, for people who have that excuse, like, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure. What would you tell them? Because I mean, really, it's an important message.
That they don't know about what.
Well, sometimes people like, I don't know if it's the right time for me. I don't
Mm.
know if, I passed that time frame, I mean, for someone who's,
Oh,
in age or someone who's young, because that's the thing. Like, I think the perspective changes from someone who's early on in their life versus someone
yeah.
who is in the later time of their life.
Well, early on in our life, we think we know everything.
That's true. We all have
Studies
that.
have proven that there are more people that accomplish more in their life from 60 to 80 than any other age groups. And so it's only too late, because I've met 30-year-olds that are old and hopeless and giving up. And then I have met older people. So it's just a choice. It's a choice to live every day. And, I heard one study said, if you lived 70 years and we take it from 20 to 70, so that's a 50-year span, did you live 50 years or did you live 1 year 50 times?
I like that. I mean, really, I like that. That's a simple. I mean, when you hear it, I mean, come on, folks. You gotta, yeah. Donna. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I mean, really, you
Yes.
live the same year repeatedly. It's the
Yes.
same frequency, just deja vu concept, or you just
Yep.
have different
I mean, the
experiences.
kids get a little older, you get a little older, but everything else,
Same.
same old, same old.
They call that
Same,
insanity.
same old, same old. So it's your choice, is what I would say. No one can do it for you, but you have nothing to lose by making some decision and taking a baby step. Absolutely nothing to lose. And we all have a choice how we want to live our life, especially after listening today and you've been made aware that you do have a choice.
Oh boy, she took you there, folks. So no excuses. Can't go there now. You can't say I didn't know. You're aware. You just got the red pill. Matrix, wake up. The awakening is happening right now. I love it. Like that's funny because that I always sometimes refer to the Matrix, but reality is when you wake up and know the truth, you can't undo it. You can't really,
Can't undo it.
it's there. It's a matter of like, what am I gonna do about it? I'm just gonna
Mm-hmm.
be like, blah, just like,
Mm-hmm.
what is it, deer in the headlight, or really like I'm gonna take a serious step here and turn, the tide to my, perspective and to my way, and that's about it. So, well, Donna, I mean, the hour flew, I have to say, but it was all great stuff. I've enjoyed every single moment. I've learned quite a bit as well. It reminded me of a lot of things. I got homework to do too. I gotta check mark certain things. Like it. And by the way, for everyone watching and listening, we all have to do that every now and then.
Yeah.
Listen, it's the resources are available. Donna is doing a terrific job out there. She's helping people. I know that she's enjoying her life. Well, because that's the other thing. One of the things that you can get in life when you help other people is you get the satisfaction, and
Yeah.
it's a good feeling when you're giving and you see the results and people are happy. You're transforming them, and every time they do something good, oh yes, it's like you feel part of that joy. So I envy you, girl. That's
Thank you.
that's an important piece. But that comes from you living the life that you designed versus a life that was by default. Again, see, I learned.
You did.
I was paying attention. uh,
Thank you very much.
Anna, thank you so much. Any last words of wisdom you want to share? Before we close our show today.
Listen to this again.
I won't say no to that. Please, over and over, share it with your loved ones. That's it.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, Donna, thank you so much for being with us
Thank
today.
you.
All right. So, folks, there you have it. This concludes our show for today. Hope you had a great time. Enjoyed all these great nuggets here with Donna. And yes, live a vibrant life. That's it. Listen to the show, get all the stuff, and apply. That being said, I'm American Age. We'll be talking soon. New day, new show, new topic, new guest. Bye for now.